All right, let's do a quick mic check. All right, that sounds good. All right, I will be starting in just a minute. Just gotta get my table set up. 2 minutes. Hello, chat. Hello, everybody. How are you all doing today? Hope everyone's been having a great holiday season. And if you're on vacation or have time off or spending time with family, whatever, hope it's all been fantastic. Okay, my camera is completely in the wrong location. Well, not completely, but hey, French fries, welcome. How you doing? How was your Christmas? It was good. Very, very low key. But it was good. Yeah, it was good. Thanks for asking. We didn't do much. We had dinner. We hung out with a friend online and watched some TV. And then at night we went and drove around and looked at lights. Hey Heather, good to see you. How you doing? Any plans for the New Year's? Yeah, I'm going to be making videos. Um, a friend of ours might be doing a get together, so we might go to their house, but not like a party, just like a hangout kind of thing. I think the difference between a party and a hangout is probably just the quantity of people and like the overall, like I guess activities maybe. But yeah, just a friend I think is we might go over to their house or something. Heather says, doing good. No tornado last night, so we are good. I didn't know a tornado was an option. I'm glad it didn't happen. How about you, French fries? How was your Christmas? What are your plans for New Year's? Anything in particular? Sorry, I'm trying to get my camera in place better. I have this super high-tech thing. You see, the camera like this is kind of washed out. And in order to keep it from being washed out, the reason it's washed out is the light source reflects off of the glass. So I came up with this very high-tech solution, which is this piece of cardboard. And I put it over so that there's shade. Hey, Cassandra. Movie magic. Yeah, I know, right? Absolutely movie magic. Uh, Everything here is held together like that. Like it's just the most janked together everything. But, you know, I'm not saying every artist works this way, but there's a lot of artists I've seen who, like, that's how half their studio is put together. That seems to be pretty universal. Yeah, yeah. How you doing, by the way? It works. Yeah, exactly. My light is held up by I have two uh like gooseneck arms that the like one end of them is broken, but the end that clamps on isn't broken, but it doesn't they don't work very well. They're very weak. So I attached them with zip ties to my easel, and then I attached my light to the goose arms with zip ties. So, but it works. Geese don't have arms, silly. I, true. Very, very true. You got me there. I'm okay trying to figure out a solution for my supply cabinet. One of the wheels snapped off. Um, is it something that needs to move around? Because you could just stick a block under it, but if it does need to move around and you want another wheel, um, yeah, I don't know. Probably going, probably going to yank the coasters off, drill a couple uh, 2x4s, and replace the caster. Something more sturdy. Yeah, yeah. That was going to be my recommendation. Would be just add a piece of wood and get a smaller wheel, and so you'll have three of one and then one of another. But or you could yank them all off and then do that. Yeah. All right. One second. All right. There we go. Or not. Okay. Sorry, having technical issues, but solved now. All right. Cassandra says I put too many art supplies in it. That's fair. Alrighty. Yeah, it's tough. You know, my art supplies are like all spread out like crazy. I could probably condense it all a lot more. Um, that would require me to be more organized. So, kind of a problem there. Samaj says, welcome to Sunday. Great to catch you for a few minutes. Wanted to ask, is there a secret to making your canvas stay on the easel? Is there a trick to keeping them from falling off? Um, in my setup, I mean, there's how I, yeah, I have a technique for it. I don't know that it's like, it's not a secret or anything, but here, let me see if I can show you. Yeah, welcome, by the way, Samaj. How you doing? Let's see. Hold on a second. Let me just, okay, just making sure I don't screw anything up here. 1 second. Okay. Oh, you won't be able to see it. Okay. All right, I'll have to explain it to you, but yeah, 1 second. Okay. So the way that I have my easel set up is it's H-frame easel. So, you know, it has the bottom part and the top part that clamp like a regular easel. And then I have a big board. It's not exactly this one. Like this is a different one, but it's something, you know, imagine something like this, only sturdier. This sits in the easel. The easel's, you know, holding this, and it doesn't fall off because it's, you know, like I said, the easel's holding it. And this is my base. And then what I do is I take I take my paintings and I put my paintings like here, let's say. 1 second. I put my paintings here and I use clamps like these. I have a couple of them. And I attach them like that. Or on the side or whatever. And that's also how I keep my palette in place. I have clamps. I have 2 clamps on the side holding it in place. So that's how I keep these attached to this. And then so that's how I keep that attached to that. The way I keep my painting attached to this, the way I do that is, where is it? I have tape. And I take the tape and I make a little roll, you know, and I stick it on the back. And I do a bunch of those. With the plastic that I'm using, I need more tape, but with other things, I used to use less tape because they didn't need it as much. And that's it. That's how I keep everything in place. Clamps and tape for the most part. I haven't figured out a better way of doing it, but you know, maybe one day I will. And this right here, the thing it's attached to is, it's just an old, I guess I too quickly moved away from that. These are just really cheap canvas boards that I hate painting on. However, they're not really good for this. It's just I'm using them because I have them. But I also have some pieces of wood that I bought from the, like, you know, thin wood like that other piece. That's just like from the hardware store. And, you know, those are perfect. A lot better too. Let's see. Okay, that makes so much sense. I was trying to figure it out. Brilliant insight. Great to hear another artist sharing. I've been struggling. I like the big board idea. Seems more secure. Well, so here's why I do this. There's a few reasons. First of all, the only way I can have my have my palette next to my painting is like I have to have something to secure my palette to, right? That's the main reason for the big board. However, there's also another reason, which is I do find that the edges of the easel often get in my way if I'm trying to paint and I'm hitting, like, the edge of the easel is right up against the edge of the painting. And finally, this easel does have some limitations to like how small it can make the, the gap depending on the height. I don't think it's a problem when I'm standing, but whatever. And then, so those are all the main reasons that I like, that I have it set up this way. Now, if I go much bigger, I will probably have to change that. If I go much bigger, I probably will have to get rid of the board, because the painting will then be bigger than the board, in which case it will just be straight, just the painting, and my palette will probably have to move somewhere else on another surface or something, unfortunately. Let's see. Samaj says, you're always a wealth of information. Thanks for sharing with us. Happy to share. Most artists I know are happy to share in general. And I appreciate, there's so many artists I've talked to who have shared so much with me. I appreciate it, and I'm happy to return the favor. Let's see, Samaj says, okay, so I just realized, is the palette next to the painting also vertical? That just seems wild. I guess the paint doesn't really run though. Well, it sounds like 2025 is go big or go home. So far, 2025 is looking like it's go quantity or go home for me personally, but we'll see. Yes, the palette is physically, this isn't a fake, what's it called? Like composite. It's really next to it, side by side. And oil paint is usually pretty thick, so it doesn't run. However, sometimes, depending on the paint, sometimes it does run. So I have the ingenious solution for that too. What I do is I take a piece of tape. It's funny, but I'm not joking. It's really the solution. I'm trying to find something that I can show you without, wasting something here. Let me find a scrap piece of paper. Oh, okay. So this is a scrap piece of paper I don't need. All right. So let's say this is the piece of tape. It's obviously a little larger, but what I do is it's kind of, I basically do this. I fold it like this. Obviously I don't do it the same way with tape because it'll stick to me, but I fold it this way so that this connects to my palette, and this creates a little shelf for the paint. The only paint that really runs is like when I put out big piles. The what's it called? The paint where I mix, that never runs. It's only the big piles that possibly run. Having said that, if you use solvents, you'll have a different experience. If you use a lot of solvents, your paint will be a lot more runny, and then you'll have a different experience. What do you find the advantages of doing that? Having the palette right there, is it to keep you from looking down and away? The palette is glass too, yeah, so it must be safety glass. The palette is glass, and it's I I think it's safety glass. I got it at Home Depot. There are art companies that sell expensive glass, but it's not worth buying. I just bought, yeah, I think it's tempered glass from Home Depot. It was like $6. Yeah, that, and then, you know, because it does get scratched up. So eventually I will want to replace it. And when I replace it, you know, it's cheap. And then the advantage, the big advantage, and this is the main reason I do it, the light, it's the same light hitting, it's the same light hitting the surface at the same angle. It's all the same. So the color on my palette is the same color that's on my painting. That's the main reason. It's like it makes painting easier. Des says, I use old microwave oven glass plates. That's great. That's great. I mean, I'm all for, what's it called? I'm all for reusing things that you don't need, but at the time I didn't have anything available to me that I could use, so I bought it from Home Depot. Let's see, Samaj asks, is the glass an 8x10? No, it's a 12 by 16. It's the same size as the large Stay Wet palette, because after I'm done painting, I take the glass and I take the whole thing and I put it in the Stay Wet palette and seal it up, and my paints stay wet for a lot longer. That and some clove oil helps too. Not in the paint, just like a cotton ball with it. Samaj says that makes so much sense, having it all at the same angle. I can understand that. Yeah, well, my experience, so what happened was I went plein air painting and I couldn't mix my colors properly because my pochade box, you know, it opens like this, like a box with a lid that opens. And I realized that the sky was making all my, like adding blue into all my mixtures. So I was, you know, I was compensating, but then when I'd put it down, it would all be the wrong color. So now when I go plein air painting, I open it as much as I can, but yeah, that is an issue. And so having said that, sometimes sometimes this isn't an option, right? Like I said, if I do a larger painting, there's just not going to be a place for this. In that case, I might try and figure out, I saw an artist who they set something up with their with the bottom of their easel. You know how the easels usually have a thicker bottom part, and it has, you know, a what's it called, like a lip and everything to it. He had a way of like hanging his palette at an angle from that. If I might try that. The angle will be wrong for the light, but it might not make a huge difference. The other option is to I have like a rolling what are they called? Like a rolling cart. I can put my palette on that. That's a very common solution. Or, and I don't know that I can deal with this, it's one of those you know, the palettes that you hold. I'm not sure I can ever paint with those, but we'll see. Let's see. Okay, what is the type of container you keep your paints in? Oh, it's called a Stay Wet palette. I think it's like the Masterson's Stay Wet palette or something like that. Um, most art stores have it. I've seen it most places. Um, it's a it's upside down right now, but it's just a container like this. I just put it in here and then seal it. Yeah, I mean, you can use like Tupperware or, other anything that's like airtight. The whole idea is to limit the oxygen, um, so it doesn't oxidize. Cassandra says everyone wants your janky secrets today. Yeah. Yeah. Um, Samaj says, cool, thanks for sharing. That sounds like a trip to Blick soon. Yeah. Like I said, I'm pretty sure I've seen it at Blick's, I've seen it most places, so should be easy to find. Um, yeah. All right, let's clean up the palette a little bit. Mine says, so it's just a box that holds the palette. Good to see that it's that simple. Funny how you learn things and then it starts to click. Yeah. Does it happen to, does that happen to it too in lights and darks? Trying to learn. Wait, what? Does that happen too in lights and darks too? Not sure what you mean. Rephrase that again, because I didn't understand that. Sorry. Um, they have the Stay Wet palette for acrylics, and I think it's also for, oh, what is it? Gouache. But you don't want, if you're using oils, you don't want those. The Stay Wet palette for acrylics and gouache, they have this special paper that goes in the palette and a sponge that goes in the palette because you need moisture and everything. But for oils, you don't need any of that. So it's just basically a Tupperware container that just, the lid locks. That's all it does, basically. So yeah. Let's see. So much says the depth thing, getting the perspective through depth. That has me struggling. I have to think not everyone sees things the same, meaning not all folks see things the same. Sure. When working in oil, is there a point where it just clicks? I have to think there's a moment when all the elements come together, and then you just are in the flow of creating. Oh, absolutely. But when you're first starting out, I don't know that it'll be like one day it just kind of clicks. It'll just start getting easier and easier as you go, right? Because right now, you have to remember when you start something new, the problem is you're using all your brain capacity to remember all of these things. But as you go, our brains, they turn complex complex things into automatic things. You group them together. It's just like driving a car. If I had to remember everything I was doing while driving a car, it'd be really hard. And it is when you first start driving. That's why it's difficult. But the more you do it, the more second nature it becomes. At this point, like I'm paying attention to what I'm doing overall, but I'm not paying attention to like, where is my hand? Is it on, am I placing it here or here? Where is the signal? All of that is second nature at this point. I don't even think about it. So yeah, it'll come together. Just give it time. And as far as depth, that's a complicated question because it depends in what context you mean it. There's so, like, are we talking about giving the form, like 3D properties, like dimensionality? Are we talking about perspective, depth, or distance? Are we talking about depth in the sense of like color depth? Like there's a lot of options here, and I'm happy to talk about it. It's just I can't, there's just a lot of options here to go with, right? So just depends on what you're referring to is the issue. Happy to talk about all of them, just it'll take a bit. Good evening, Liad. Ike, hey, welcome, Ike. Good to see you. How you doing? How was your Christmas? What are your plans for New Year's? And thanks for all the comments on the videos, man. I appreciate it. Thomas says, I look forward to the ease in painting. I paint for a few hours every day and it still feels hard, though one day I know it's going to happen. Yeah, and also, don't overdo it. When things are new, they're much harder. And so, when you feel yourself starting to get tired, it's probably long enough. And also try and break down your painting into steps because that lets you focus on one thing at a time. When I first started painting, I would draw out with a pencil. I would draw my drawing out, and then I would look at my palette. I would look at my reference, and I would mix the big groups of colors that I was planning to put down first. And I'd just mix the colors because I wasn't very good at color matching, and it would take me a lot more work. I couldn't adjust colors on the fly the way I can now. So I would just mix my colors with the palette knife. And I mixed all my colors with the palette knife in the beginning because I didn't have to worry about the brush getting saturated and any of that. I just took the palette knife, mixed my colors, compare it to my subject, match, and then I would go and block in colors, and then I'd take a break, and then I'd mix up the next batch of colors and so on. So, really breaking it down into like steps that were easier to tackle. Now it's a lot easier, but at the time it was not. Ike says, I'm doing okay. I'm on holiday for a few more days. That's great. Glad to hear that. Samaj says, I've been sketching, then blocking on paper, then mixing colors and trying to make that into a painting. I tend to do that several times. I have fear, I think, of hitting the canvas. Okay. Yeah, that's one of the reasons I recommend cheap canvases or cheap paper. You can paint on paper, although I do recommend sealing it first. I worked on watercolor paper, and I would use acrylic matte medium to seal it. And that is a very cost-effective way of, getting through paintings. And the reason I like that is because not only is it cost-effective, but also the surface is relatively smooth. It's not as textured as like, oh shoot, I forgot I need a different brush. It's not as textured as like those cheap cotton canvases that you buy. So you can work on smaller paintings. And I think when you're first starting out, smaller paintings are absolutely recommended. Not too small. You can definitely go too small. But the reason I recommend smaller paintings is because you can it it takes less paint. Uh, it takes cheaper brushes because the bigger brushes are more expensive. Um, the canvases are more cost effective, and you can get through them faster and learn quick. And you can paint a small canvas in a day. Honestly, you can paint a small canvas in a couple hours, and then it doesn't feel like such a huge waste of time if the painting doesn't come out. If you do a quick study, if you spend 2 hours doing a study and it doesn't turn out good, cool. You learned something new. You gained experience. You learned some new stuff, and it didn't cost you a ton of time or money comparatively to like a big thing. Um, so yeah, that's why I think like small canvases when you're first starting out is the way to go. Like I said, not too small. You don't want it to be. You don't want the size to make it actually more challenging, right? Because like if you're trying to paint a portrait and trying to get the likeness of someone and the head's like, this big, good luck. Gonna struggle with that, and it's gonna make your life really difficult. But, otherwise, yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Heather says the painting I did the other day is very small and only took a couple hours. Nice. Let's see. Samaj says, I guess it's doing small studies. Though I did paint a canvas yesterday with the brayer. Um, I sectioned it out, and now we'll do several small studies on that. Oh, that's cool. Then when I'm done, I'm working in 3x5 blocks. That's okay. I mean, that's very small. That's like 3x5 is. I wouldn't do much detail on something that's small. I have 12 small paintings on one page. I do think it gives a good value for me too. Have to begin somewhere. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I have stacks and stacks of paintings and drawings. Like if I brought out all the failed paintings and failed drawings that I haven't even kept all of them, but you know, it would be stacks. So yeah, it takes time. So much as I'm not doing detail, it's mostly for understanding blocking out and the depth. Okay, so it's like a comp studies and color studies type of thing. Um, that's good. Don't think that's really the right color, but it's close enough. Yeah, if you're trying to doing comps and like thumbnail composition and stuff like that is very beneficial for practicing just the placement of things and the overall colors and trying to get like all of that information without having to go in and do all the details of a painting. It's very useful. Cassandra says I'm going to lurk for a while. I'm taking the pantry apart. All right. Good luck with that. Enjoy your lurk. Good luck with the pantry. Um, let's see. Um, I listened to a fella. Samaj says I listened to a fellow the other day who says it takes so many tries before you see the quality end result. Sometimes it takes 1K before it looks like it just happens. Uh, yeah, I get that. One second. French fries says lurking while cooking dinner. All right, French fries. Well, thanks for. I appreciate you being here. Uh, Even lurking, I do appreciate all the people lurking as well. And enjoy your dinner. When you feel up to it, what are you having? If you feel like sharing, like I said, when you feel like it. Um, yeah, there's a lot of people who say a lot of things about like how long it takes and how much, there's no real number. No one truly knows. There's the like, there's that 10,000 hour nonsense, it's nonsense sort of, but there's that, that people often refer to. Um, yeah, there's no like set amount. But here's the thing I will say when it comes to art, and I know it can be very, very frustrating when you're new, when you're first starting out, but I think it's important to remind people doing art to try and enjoy the process, not just the outcome. Because really, I think it I think if you're only focused on the outcome, you'll end up probably giving up in the long term. Um, so it's worth keeping that in mind. This is something that is enjoyable, and um, you know, try to. I know it's hard because we're so focused sometimes, or some people can be. I was sometimes so focused on wanting it to be perfect or wanting it to be really good or whatever. But yeah, it's I try to focus on the process and enjoy it as well. French says making some elk chili, cooking it now so it's ready for tonight. Okay, interesting. Um, and I've never had elk chili before. Samaj says, did you always have a natural propensity for color mixing, or did you have to learn it over time? I learned it over time. I won't give up. Going to keep doing this till I'm very old. I lost too many years because I lost too many years because it is joyful, and I don't get too wrapped up in it in the end result and focus more on how it feels making it. Okay. No, I didn't necessarily have a natural propensity for actually, if I'm being honest, anything in regards to art. I I just was um, like I wasn't the best at it as a kid or anything like that. In fact, I had friends who were better than me at nearly every aspect of art, if not every aspect of art. It's just that when they all stopped, like drawing and painting, and mostly drawing because kids, they all stopped because they got into other things. I kept doing it. And when they were doing other things, I went and took art classes. And then, you know, after my after high school and everything, I went to an art school instead of going to college, and so on. So yeah, but no, I would not say that I had a natural propensity for it. Hello, Vanessa. Hey, Vanessa, welcome. How you doing? Color mixing can be really complicated. Um, you know, yes, it can. C- I don't know. I sometimes think that I'm dumb because like people talk about color theory a lot, and there's all these there's all this stuff to color theory, and I often am just like, I don't get it entirely. So I feel like, and I'm not saying this from a bragging point of like, oh, it's so simple, but um, my palette's very simple, and so there's only so many options. So that, it's not there's not there's not a lot of options, so there's not a lot to do, kind of thing. Um, so I'm just like, I don't know, people, and also like the more complex aspect of color theory of like, there's a ton of complex, people talk about like, um, uh, you know, uh, color theory and how it affects like the feeling of things and all this other stuff. And I'm just like, okay, I mean, that stuff always feels like, yes, that's true. And then also, but there's an exception every time to every rule. So I don't understand, like, if there's always an exception and there's always something different, then it doesn't make any sense. I don't know. Just so sometimes I feel like maybe I'm just dumb about it and I don't understand it very well. And I just kind of like do what I do and I can make that work. I don't know. Let's see. Samaj says, so you're saying you are valid proof that if someone applies and practices enough, then there is hope for anyone. It's the doing that makes it better. I know folks who have great talent and don't use it. Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, it's practice, hard work, deliberate practice, and doing all of that. Yeah, absolutely. No one's like, no one's born, no matter how talented they are, to get really good, you have to do a lot of work anyways. So it doesn't, it's just a foot forward, but it doesn't determine the end point, kind of thing. Um, Samaj says, I just look at them and wonder why I have why. I have a friend who works in egg tempura. His work is gorgeous and is such an ease to create it, yet he says he finds it a bother and rather boring. Well, I mean, I don't know. French Fry says, I think color mixing is really simple, but we tend to overcomplicate it. I think so. I think if you are having issues with color mixing, um, for anyone who is having issues with color mixing, um, start off with a much simpler palette. Something possibly like the Zorn palette is a fantastic beginner palette. Um, to make things just easier. And then there's these color charts that people do. It's very time consuming and costs a bit of money because you have to use a lot of paint to make these color charts. Um, but if you need a better understanding of how your paint works, then it's probably a good idea to do. I personally haven't done them, but that's because by the time I found out that they were a thing, I didn't feel I really needed them. But I do color experiments still occasionally for very specific colors and very specific pigments and stuff like that. So yeah, but yeah, those color charts are a good option. There's a whole system to it where you basically you take your whole palette and you mix, I forget how it goes. Like you mix each color, you do a page for each color, and then you do a page for like all the colors. I don't know. There, um, what's it called? The book. What is the book title? Alla Prima has a explains it, but I'm sure you can find it online too. Like color charts, color. Yeah, I'm sure you can find it online. Let's see. Samaj says, French fries, I agree with that. Though too, I think folks see color different. I know that after I had chemo, my eyes got cataracts and colors changed so much. Then I had them fixed and wow, color. Yeah, everyone's eyes are different, and of course, it's impossible to know what we all see and comparatively. Yeah. Uh, Vanessa says, sorry, I received a call. Uh, Color theory can be really hard, but it can be reduced in simple ways, easy to understand and manage. Yeah, I agree. I never heard of the Zorn palette. Now I have a whole new rabbit hole to go down. Oh, the Alla Prima book. This is the third time I heard that today about that book. It's a really good book. It's one of the like, it is one of the better, you know, one of the better books. It comes highly recommended by uh, a ton of artists. So I'll be honest, I have not read it. I have it. I have a digital version and I have browsed it. I have not read it. I am dyslexic and very slow at reading. And so stuff like that, I just sometimes I have a hard time reading, but I do like browse through them and like, look through it. But yeah. But it like a lot of artists I really what's it called? Whose opinion I really value. I'll recommend that book. So someone says, me too, reading is such a chore, though listening has been a huge benefit. Yes. Someone says, is there just one book? Who is the author? I cannot remember the author. He's a famous painter who's really, really good, but I cannot remember his name right now. Um, I know, not very helpful. I recognize that. I think it is um, I think there might only be one that's called Alla Prima, but I could be wrong. I heard that some people who get, I don't know if it still applies now, but back in the day, people would get cataract surgery to fix their eyes. Um, Richard Schmidt, yes, that's it. Thank you. And some people who would get cataract surgery could then see ultraviolet light. Apparently, it's really bad for your eyes. So you'd have to like wear, sunglasses and stuff. However, the idea that I could see ultraviolet light is really cool to me, and I'm like, I always am curious, like how would you paint something if you could see, ultraviolet light in addition to regular light? I don't know. I'm so curious about that. But apparently, it's really bad for your eyes, and I think they actually changed how they do cataract surgery and have improved it to the point where that doesn't happen as much. I could be wrong about that. But yeah. There's a channel on YouTube called Draw Mix Paint. Um, and he's a really good artist, and he oh, what's it called? He talks about he has a video on color mixing. Now he doesn't use the pigments that I use, but the general concept and his general like what's it called? His general demo still stands pretty well. It's like you just mix the colors and then you have to ask yourself, is it lighter or darker? Is it more red or is it more blue? Is it more this or more that? And eventually you kind of make your way to the color. Like I said, he uses different pigments, so it's a little different. Not like terribly different, just a little. But the concept is the same. So yeah, Draw Mix Paint on YouTube. Mark Carter is the artist. He's a really good artist. I have some issues with him a little bit because of his like approach to AI and stuff. But um, but yeah. French Fry says, I'm back. What are we painting? I am painting a self-portrait. It's I don't remember who recommended it. It might have been you, French Fries, but I don't remember. Someone recommended for New Year's doing a self-portrait, and I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll try and do this every year. Like every New Year's, I'll do a self-portrait and see how things change over the years. I don't enjoy doing self-portraits, generally speaking, but oh well. It's almost like we can see the nose already being done, and I don't see any paint there. Yeah, no paint there. Um, yeah, I mean, it's kind of got the form. The hair and the beard kind of do the heavy lifting here. This brush is not good at getting like fine detail, and I think I mentioned this, but what's it called? The these panels, when I first start painting on them, they're really grabby and the paint does not flow very well. So it's hard for me to make good like initial marks with this. Um, but once I put down paint and I cover the canvas, everything flows a lot better. And then I can start really going in with different brushes and refining everything. So yeah, in the beginning, it's going to be very much a rough draft. Let's see. Uh, Vanessa says I thought it was Jason Momoa. Haha, very funny. Samaj says crazy how our minds fill in those things. Yeah, it is, and that's the thing. Our minds do so much filling in for us, and the issue with that is, well, it can be an issue in the sense that when you're painting, our minds, you're essentially fighting your own mind a lot of times because it wants to tell you that something is, a certain way, and it's not. But it is under most circumstances, but not in this circumstance. And so you're fighting your own brain a lot when you're painting. That's why people like put their, turn their canvases upside down and stuff like that. That's because it gives you a different perspective and one that your brain isn't accustomed to. So you can just look at it instead of your brain filling in things for you. But it also means that you can use that to your advantage. You can, we know that people's brain, fill in things. So you don't have to fill it all in. Let their brain do the work for you. Certain things, not everything, obviously, but yeah. I know it might seem weird to constantly be wiping my hands since I have gloves on, but the gloves are dirty. They'll if they have paint on them, they'll transfer that paint everywhere. That's what I'm trying to avoid. I actually think this might be a bristle brush, and I don't buy bristle brushes, but I don't know how I have this. I either bought it before, like a long, long time ago, or it was sometimes when you buy from certain companies or something, they'll give you a gift, like, promotional gift or something. Or I also have a few brushes and paints that like I've got inherited from people who are giving stuff away. So I don't know how I have this brush, but I don't buy bristle brushes. I don't know that I would even consider this a very good bristle brush, but it works for laying in my paints. But it'd be very difficult for me to do any refined painting with this. So, having said that, though, what's it called? Very tight brushes aren't always good for everything. You definitely sometimes need the jank brushes that have all their bristles everywhere and that give you that texture that you might want. Vanessa says, oh yeah, paint everywhere. That's the downside of gloves. I don't feel the paint on my fingers until I notice it's spread everywhere. Yeah, in theory, yes. Or in your case, I guess in practice, yes. I don't, I almost never get paint anywhere other than like on my hands. The place I get it the most is on my pinky finger because I put my pinky down to stabilize my hand as I go. But yeah, I'm pretty, I think I'm on the cleaner side, which isn't a good thing necessarily. It's just how I am. But yeah, it drives me crazy to get paint everywhere. So, alrighty. Let's mess up my face. But yeah, I the reason I wear gloves is I hate having dirty hands, and then also I've said this before, I have cats and I want to be able to have clean hands quickly. Um, I know that there's technically health concerns with paints, pigments as well, although depending on what you're using, as long as you're using certain things, it should be fine. Oh, I meant to mention this, the Zorn palette. I mentioned the Zorn palette earlier, and something I meant to comment on the Zorn palette that I got distracted though. So the Zorn palette, there's the like old what's it called? Traditional Zorn palette, the way it was originally conceived, and then there's the updated version. The updated version is much cheaper and easier to get a hold of and to use. The traditional one is much more expensive and much more of a pain in the ass. I don't know that I would recommend it to anybody. I feel like you might not be able to get the same colors exactly and the same mixtures exactly as the traditional Zorn palette, but you get the same benefits from the Zorn palette of learning. So it's not the same, but you learn what you need from it regardless. Let's see. Vanessa says I use many toxic pigments, so I took this habit really fast. That's fair. Although a lot of toxic pigments, it's okay. Let me put it this way: it is safer, without a doubt. Gloves are safer, but even some of the toxic pigments aren't actually like they won't do anything if they're on your skin, depending on how they're made. But it's without a doubt safer. Vanessa, by the way, I don't think you shared any of your artwork. I'd love to see it when you get a chance. Lead, cobalt, nickel. Okay. Yeah, you're really going for all of the toxic paints. Nice. Chrome. Okay then. um, let's see. Do you what color is your nickel paint? Is it the is it a yellow paint? I'm trying to remember the name of it. Um, I was researching yellow paints and I was looking at one. I can't remember what it's called though right now. I think it's pigment 150, but I can't remember for sure. Yeah, my studio. Vanessa says my studio is off limits to my daughter. fair enough. I um I don't let my cats be unsupervised in my room for that exact reason. And for the record, for anyone who has animals, if they ever do get in into your paint or get like real paint on them, specifically oil paint, since oil paint can be hard to get out of fur or hair, um, dish soap, like Dawn dish soap, does work, and so does coconut oil or other cooking oils. You know, obviously still wash it out of them, but that can help in the initial part of it. I'm not talking from experience. My cats have never had that happen, but I've heard. Obviously water soluble stuff is different. Just use water. There was a streamer. She had I think it was a Great Dane Mastiff mix, um, and she got it as a puppy, and he grew so big so fast and got to the point where he would like knock things over. And if I remember correctly, he sent her palette. She had a what's it called? She had a palette that she held in her hand, and he sent that flying out of her hand once by with his tail. Huge dog. I mean, ginormous. I'm just finishing up here. I am just putting this into Photoshop real quick, and also drinking some coffee. Alrighty. Let's see. Oh, Vanessa says yes, nickel azo yellow, PY 150 transparent, and nickel titanium, PY 53 opaque. Yes, nickel azo yellow. That was the one I was looking at. Um, yeah, I was trying to see if that would, from what I could tell, it won't, but I was trying to see if that would make for a good primary yellow. I don't think it will, but that's what I was looking at it for, because I was trying to see if I can find. So I was trying to see if I could find a yellow that mimicked my blue and my red a bit better, in the sense that um, so oh my god, phthalo blue is a very rich and strong blue and dark. And when you lighten it lightens up, but it doesn't become faded right away, right? Like it becomes a beautiful, bright blue. Um, and the problem with my yellow is it's so bright, but when I bring it down in value, it starts to lose. It starts to lose the saturation. And so I was trying to figure out if I can find a yellow that's like a deep yellow, maybe even almost an orange, but when you add white to it, it brightens up to like a lemon yellow, like I was looking for that. And I was looking at all these different pigments, and I thought for a minute that, what is it? Indian yellow, PY 84 was going to be a potential option. I don't have it. I thought I was going to buy it, but then I found out that the good version of that is a transparent version of that, is is a very fugitive color, and it fades very quickly. And the opaque version of it apparently isn't all that great, so I haven't bought it yet. Let's see. Vanessa says, oh, the nickel azo yellow is really nice, but not enough power to work with your Quinn and Thalo. Yeah. I mean, I can modulate that, but I'm sure it might struggle with that. Yeah, I haven't found a good yellow. Well, let me just say that. I think my yellow is good. I haven't found a better yellow. I'm using bismuth yellow, by the way. I was using cad lemon. I think I prefer bismuth yellow. I think it holds its saturation just a little bit more than cad yellow or cad lemon. Vanessa says azo is a bit on the green side, but you get a good lemon yellow with titanium. Might be worth a try. Might be. Des says your Twitch stream just keeps crashing and buffering for me. Not sure what's wrong. I have someone else's stream up and it's okay. Really? Huh. Cassandra, if you're still there and you're lurking, can you let me know if that's your experience as well? Hold on, let me see. Okay. My my thing says that it's oh. Wait a second. It says that it's that the connection is excellent, so I don't know. It's at 1080p. Yeah. I don't know what the issue is there. Let's see. Vanessa says Indian yellow is my favorite yellow. I will make some light fast tests this summer. Yeah, so you can look it up. Golden did some experiments with what's it called? With Indian yellow, and like I said, there's two versions. If it's using pigment Y, I think it's Y85 or 84. Can't remember. Anyways, there's a transparent version and an opaque version. The transparent version is the beautiful color and the one that is not light fast. According to their, according to their tests. PY 83. Okay. Yeah, that's I'm sure that's it. The only reason I say that is because there are some what's it called? There are some Indian yellows that use completely unrelated pigments. So there is that, which is kind of funny. Let's see. Hey, Des, I don't know what's going on. Vanessa says, yeah, light fast rate is fair like alizarin crimson. Yeah, apparently that's what they were saying. And I don't use alizarin crimson for numerous reasons, but that's one of them. Also, I think it's a pointless color at this point, but that's just whatever. I get into arguments with people about that. All right. What was I checking? My brain totally messed up. Okay, I don't know. Anyways, I was going to check something, then forgot it. Oh well. But yeah, I try to use things that are a little more light fast than Alizarin Crimson personally. Oh, my stream. Yeah, I don't know what's going on, Diz. I'm looking at the thing. It says that there's no problem. I'm not getting dropped frames. I don't know. Vanessa says, I love them all except zinc. Yeah, I won't. I stopped buying. It's very frustrating, but I stopped buying paint from certain brands, like they're white, because of zinc. And yeah, it's very frustrating because it's like, you know, I really like their white or I like their consistency or whatever, but they don't make white without zinc in it. And I'm done with that. I don't buy anything with zinc in it anymore. But I feel like for me too, because so much like my palette overall is pretty limited, it makes it a little easier to to take the time and like find the pigments that are what's it called, are more like, it's easier to find the light fast pigments that I want to use because it's like I'm not using that many colors, so I take my time to really find the ones I want. um Although I do need to buy some what's it called, some supplemental colors, so for that way I'll have them for when I need those, like those colors that I absolutely cannot mix. I mean, I can mix pretty good purples and violets, but like those like really really strong like vibrant ones, there's a limit. um I do have green. I have phthalo green emerald, and I have cobalt teal. Um, and I also have some red pigments. What's it called? Um, which ones do I have? I have cad red light. Um, so yeah, but I don't have the purple. I want to buy. I don't know. I've been looking at dioxazine purple. Um, yeah, I don't know. Been looking at different ones, trying to figure out what I should get. And also, I have neon colors, but I won't mix those in with regular paints because they are very fugitive. But I do want something that's more like a uh, like like as close to neon that I can get without it being a fugitive color, like hot pink or and those type of colors. Because I was doing a painting of it was for Halloween. It was like a Harley Quinn type character, and I could not hit some of those purples and pinks that were happening in that. I mean, I adjusted for it. It's not, it's not like the end of the world, but I definitely couldn't match what I was looking at. Okay, Heather. Let's see. Vanessa says dioxazine is really nice purple, but I haven't worked with it enough in oil paint. Yeah, it looks pretty. It's definitely not a color that I would need on my palette like 90% of the time, but that's why I haven't purchased it. Yeah. I what's it called? I bought uh Phthalo Green Emerald, and I bought that originally because I was like, I'm not going to have black on my palette. I'm going to mix black, and I can mix chromatic black with quinacridone rose and phthalo emerald or phthalo green yellow shade, whatever. Um, and then I put it on my palette, and I was only exclusively using it to mix black. I'm like, well, this is stupid. Like, why am I putting a color on my palette that I am using solely to mix black when I can just put black on my palette? Um, and then I did some experiments with black to see, like, okay, what are the differences really? Like they say, don't don't use black out of the tube, use the mixed black, blah blah blah. Okay, let's do an experiment. And so I did an experiment, and I mixed my own black, and I took some blacks out of the tube, and I mixed them with colors, and I came to the conclusion that there's no difference. Welcome back, Heather. There is a difference in approach, like, and there are some differences in like the end result, because you are mixing and you're imperfect versus the pre-mixed stuff. But those things aside, there's no real difference in the sense that, like, uh, you know, it doesn't make your paints dirtier or look dirtier or anything like that. Like, all of that is kind of nonsense, in my opinion. Um, yeah. So yeah, that was. So then I just started using black, and at first I was using chromatic black, um, but it's chromatic black is kind of transparent, and Mars black is not. And Mars black holds up really well against all my other pigments. The only problem is I heard that Mars black from other brands isn't as nice as from M-Gram, and I don't have the experience to say one way or another if that's true or not, but that's what I heard. And if I didn't say it already, welcome back, Heather. I thought I said it, but I'm not sure. I did. Okay. I do have what's it called? I do have a lead white and I've used it, and I will say I'm not like it didn't win me over. I'll put it that way. Now, maybe I got a bad lead white. Maybe the lead white I'm using isn't that great. Um, Maybe I didn't use it enough. I don't know. But lead white did not win me over. I did not get the, like, you know, some people like swear by it. And I'm just like, it's all right. I don't know. Like I said, maybe the one I got was not that great. I bought a Williamsburg lead white and it's very, very stiff. And maybe they did a bad job on it or something. I don't know. Maybe I got a bad batch. I don't know. With this palette, no, I haven't tried it with this palette. It was before I was using this palette. I think with this palette it would seriously struggle because it's such a like weak tinting white. That's my assumption is it would really struggle. I'd have to be super delicate with it. Although I could see it being useful for like hitting those really high highs in some colors, like some mixtures, but it would have to be very, very specific. Um, yeah. Hi, Dresden. Oh, baby boy. Hi. Say hello. Yeah. Dresden's fascinated by my window over there. He wants to go to it so bad. Yeah. Mm. You're making a lot of weird sounds right now, little boy. No. No. Okay, I'll put you down. You got a hair in your eye. I'll let you scratch it. As it says, the only lead white I found interesting was Rublev. It behaves different, but yeah, I can't see the appeal with your palette. Yeah. Hold on a second. Just checking something. Okay. Yeah, with my palette, I don't see the appeal of it, but like I said, maybe for like if I'm trying to get certain like tints where it's I need it whiter than what I need it lighter than the pigment can do, but more saturated, like maybe, but I don't know. I do have a painting. Let's see. I do have a painting here that's done with lead white and titanium white. It was a mixture. So, oof, let me dust this off. I need to varnish this. So, this painting um, is what's it called? This is of Pink Epoxy. She was a streamer on Twitch, and this painting is done with, trying to think, 7 different colors, I think. Um, and the titanium white I used in all the areas where what's it called? Where it's cooler, and all the warmer areas I used lead white. And part of the reason is because what's her name? Pink Eye loved what's it called? She loved not titanium white, lead white. So since I was painting her, I used it in this painting. And then I also trying to remember the pigments that went into this. It was magenta. I think it was quinacridone magenta. Um, uh, quinacridone magenta. Uh, cad red light. Um, ultramarine blue, and I think a black as well, plus the 2 whites. Yeah. I'm gonna put this one aside. I need to clean it. Really nice. Oh, thank you. Yeah, it was part of my series of limited hue paintings, um, which I don't need to. I plan on doing more of at some point. The idea is that you um, instead of a limited palette or limited, other limitations, the idea is it's limited in hue. So if you imagine like um, you know, I think of it in Photoshop. They have the color, all the color picker, and has all the options of the different hues. So the idea is to like section off a segment and be like, this is what I'm painting. So it's not a monochrome. It's got a little more options than a monochrome does, but it's still a lot of fun. It's still very limited in a lot of ways, but it can produce really beautiful results. So I like it. I've done, I'm trying to remember how many I did. It was like 5, I think. Um, it's been a while, obviously. Otherwise, I would remember, but I think it was 5. One of them sold, which is awesome. So I think I only have 4 of them still. Samaj says kitty time is the best. Yes. Also, if you're only now reacting to kitty time, you might be no longer in the, you might be on the replay and not watching live. Or if your comment's just late, that's absolutely fine. But I'm just saying, if you think, if you might be on the delay, that does happen sometimes. It's very frustrating when that happens. But yeah. There's this artist, someone posted a video of hers on my, in my Discord, and she talks about, she has this CMYK squared palette. That's her thing. She's like, you know, she talks about that. And, um, if it, like everything in art, if it works for you, it works for you. I don't entirely see the point in it. Um, I get what she's trying to say. Like, it is a more, in practice, it's a more versatile uh, palette than the CM, like my CMYK palette is, because it has more pigments and therefore it has more options. Um, However, I don't entirely see the point to it, because it's like the amount of times where the options are like useful or necessary are so far and few. In, it just makes more sense to like use much different pigments to really like extend the range a lot further versus ones that are so close anyways. I don't know, that's just in my mind. I used to use I used to have cadmium red light on my palette, um, in addition to my quinacridone rose. And over time, I just, like, what would happen was I would put it on my palette and it would dry untouched. The pile would dry untouched on my palette. So after a while, I just stopped putting it out there, because I'm like, well, I'm literally wasting paint at this point. Like, there's no need to put this out apparently. So I just stopped. And that's what happened with a few pigments. And that's what I think would happen if I tried using the CMYK squared palette. I feel like I'd just be like, eh. 90% of the time I won't even touch this. So why even bother? I'll get those colors out if I need them, I guess. But, painting is a very, what's the word I'm looking for? Personal thing. And some people love certain pigments, like some people love, what is it? Not ultramarine. Well, yeah, some people love ultramarine, but some people also love alizarin crimson, and they feel like it is absolutely necessary. I don't personally feel that way, but that's why it's such a personal thing. In some ways, I think the CMYK palette is great because it is limited. You have limited options and so on. However, I do think that some uh, people, when they're new to painting, might find like dealing with phthalo blue difficult, because I know some people just find dealing with phthalo blue in general difficult. So I don't know. I think I've heard from some teachers that like things like the what's it called? The Zorn palette are really good for beginners, and then they move them on to, more complicated stuff. I think I started with a much more like traditional palette in art school. I can't remember the exact palette, but it was something like oh, what was it? It was like ultramarine, titanium white, ultramarine blue, alizarin crimson, um, raw umber or burnt umber. I can't remember. And then what's it called? Yellow ochre. I think cad red or cad red light, and either cadmium yellow or yellow light, or maybe Hansa yellow. I can't remember, something like that. I think that was like the full extended palette. That's a lot, That's a lot of colors to like hold in your brain and deal with all the time. Hi, Winnie. Okay, we're doing more kitty time because Winnie is here. And she doesn't come on camera that much, so let me see if I can get her. Yeah, little girl. She doesn't like being held that much. She's getting better at it. This is Winnie. Stay a little more. I know, little girl. But you gotta get used to it. I know, I know. I know. Shh. It's okay. Okay. Alrighty. All right. Let's see. We're getting close to my time limit for today. I am going to have to, unfortunately, I have to set a time limit because as much as I would love to keep painting and actually knock this painting out today, I have to go write and record my video for tomorrow. So, and then I have to finish this painting and another painting for next week. But if I want to get anything out tomorrow, I'm going to have to end stream soon and go take care of that. See you next time. I'll make sure to drop some stuff in Discord. Awesome, Vanessa. That's great. Yeah. Um, I'm on Discord a lot. Like I'm always around kind of thing. I don't post a lot. Um, but I'm always there. I'm just not always posting. Um, but yeah, like I said, I wish I could finish this on stream. Um, but I really need to catch up. I'm really struggling to keep up on the videos right now. This week is going to be I'm making this week into a three-day week. I was debating 4 or 3, but I do not have the time to make it a 4-day week for what's it called? Because of New Year's. But hopefully, fingers crossed, and I don't know, but hopefully I'll actually be able to catch up, and then the following week I'll be back on track. So we'll see. It's definitely a hectic work schedule that I've set for myself, and I know I'm definitely going to fail occasionally, but I'm really trying right now to get it all done, and to not fail right this early on. And by fail, I mean just fail to keep up the schedule 100%. That's all, Let's see. French Fry says, great stream nonetheless. Oh, thank you. I'm glad. Vanessa says this posting schedule is crazy. It is, and that's the point, right? Like that's actually the point. The point is that like no one else is doing that right now. Nicholas Uribe used to, and he is definitely the inspiration for it. He did have a little more help doing it, but it is crazy, and that, like I said, that is the point. Like the point is that no one else is doing this, so hopefully it grabs some attention that way. Let's see. Heather says, I'm scared to start a daily schedule because I know I can't keep it up. Yeah, no, it's really hard. Trying to remember, years ago, I did a daily sketch for a whole year. That was rough, especially since I also went to visit family during that time. So like I had like, long flights and stuff to deal with. So I had to like bank things and do all of that. But this is infinitely harder than a daily sketch thing. But yeah, it is tough. Like I said, I know there's no chance that I'm not going to at some point not be able to keep up. I'll be sick. Of course, there are planned things, right? Like I am going to be going out of town in May. So, obviously I'm going to be taking a break. But if I'm still doing it then, yeah, there's no way I'm not going to like not be able to, at some point I'm going to have to, like, I'm going to mess up, I'm going to feel bad, or, whatever it is. And that's fine. But I'm trying, like I said, I'm trying right now to keep it, to keep on schedule. And I want to keep on schedule for at least a few months if I can. Having said that, I do have an interesting problem, which is um, there's a competition, I think, if I'm not mistaken, there's a competition I want to enter, which means I need to do a painting for that competition. And this painting needs to be a little more than um, than my daily sketches or my daily paintings. It needs to be a little bit more involved. Um, and I don't know how to like marry the two because, um, yeah, there's no time for me to do it, to work on the painting outside of the outside of my schedule right now. So I'm not sure what to do about that. I might, I don't know, I might bump it down to 4 days a week, and the fifth day will be dedicated to a long form painting uh, while I'm working on it. That was my thought. I don't know if people would be interested in that. Um, that might be my only option if I want to participate in this competition, and I really do. Um, it's the Portrait Society of America, and I do want to participate in that. Um, so I might have to do that. I don't know. Cassandra says it's definitely worth a shot. It's a good time to try stuff out. Yeah, it is. Yeah, that might be what I end up doing. Just because like there's just no way I can, you know, there's just no way I can do it a larger long form painting while keeping this upload schedule. I don't know. There might be some value to it too, in the sense that like maybe people would enjoy watching me work on a larger painting that takes, a couple weeks or a couple months to do. I think I'd have to be limited. I have to go find out what the deadline is. I think the deadline is, I think it might be in February, in which case I don't know how I'm doing that, but we'll see. Cassandra says 100%. Yeah, maybe. French Fry says, I'm here for the vibes. Don't care if it's a long or short form content. Thank you. I appreciate that. Alrighty. I mean, obviously it's not finished, but I have to say, I think it's starting to already kind of come together. Like, like I said, it's obviously not close to finished and still needs more work, but yeah, I think it's starting to come together. Well, let's see. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to call it a day at this point. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me, for uh, talking art. I appreciate it. For everyone who's been watching the videos, which I'm pretty sure is all of you, thank you so much. I do appreciate the support. It really, it really helps. As far as as far as the videos and stuff go, like I haven't grown a ton in numbers yet, which is fine. But the views are already into like the hundreds, which is, I know compared to like YouTubers is nothing, but for an artist, for me, that's fantastic. And I appreciate it. And I appreciate all of you, watching and help, commenting and engaging with it and all that. I appreciate it. Thank you. Heather says, thanks for another interesting and informative stream. Oh, you're welcome, Heather. And I will be back Thursday. Everyone have a fantastic New Year's. Have a safe New Year's. Yeah, that's all I've got. Thank you all. I appreciate it. Take care, and we'll see you Thursday.